So Ukraine is pushing forward on multiple fronts simultaneously. And when I say fronts, I don't just mean battlefield fronts. I mean military battlefield fronts. I mean diplomatically. I mean technologically. I mean economically. It's really impressive to see what they're able to do here. Okay, it is April 10th, 2025. My name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide context in the war in Ukraine. 1,420 Russians off the battlefield day over day. Sometimes people will ask me, what does this mean? Like, you only talk about the Russian numbers. You don't talk about Ukrainian numbers. I don't know that we have Ukrainian numbers, but a simple guesstimate is something like, and again, I've looked at this multiple places in multiple videos, is something like maybe 2/3 of this is going to be Ukrainian casualties when you see that in a given day. It could be as low as half, could be as high as 3/4, but usually it's not pound for pound the same. Okay, 3 tanks off the battlefield, 12 armored fighting vehicles, 70 artillery systems, 169 vehicles and fuel tanks. Okay, so what's weird about this is that this number, the higher it goes, is usually correlated with a higher number on the battlefield losses, like around Pokrovsk. And I'm going to show you the numbers are low around Pokrovsk. And then when this is low, you usually have this high. So something is strange here. But the battlefield average for April is now 1359. The fourth highest month was September at 1354. So we're hovering right around that mark. And a big offensive is coming, we think. So it'll probably continue to go up. Okay, yesterday I said, okay, like the news keeps mocking me. Every time I try to understand it, it changes and does something else. So yesterday I was just talking about how, like, maybe the lack of drones is not because they're saving up for a rainy day. Maybe it's just because they don't have enough to be able to really do something. So maybe that's it, because they have hit places where there were drone storage facilities and things along those lines. So, okay. And then 145 Shahed drones were launched, of which 85 were shot down, 49 lost in location. So about 11 got through. So, okay. So I don't know. I mean, this isn't high compared to what it was just a couple weeks ago, but compared to the last week, it's very high. Okay, 3 Russian military airfields were under attack. This was yesterday. Okay, the Russian Federation says more than 150 UAVs raided 12 regions across the country, as well as Crimea. The attack lasted 10 hours. So this was April 9th, and this is showing you all the regions that were attacked yesterday. And I haven't seen a lot of footage about where these things actually hit. Today is the 10th, and this was yesterday, trying to show all the places where the drones were launched. But again, I don't see things. Now, I do see things like horrific footage of a night battle in the skies in Kharkiv in April 2025. I'm not sure which day it is, but you see all these dots on here. These are tracers over Kharkiv trying to shoot drones and missiles down. Okay. Russian Telegram channels report drone attack on Moscow region, and you see the same kind of thing. Here are the tracers there trying to shoot things down, and here's another view of the same thing. Russian air defense in Moscow fired last night at one of their choppers. They mistaken it for a Ukrainian drone. We don't know that it was hit, but again, you see all these tracers in the sky over Moscow, so that's something. Okay, at least 10 people in the southern Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv were injured when Russia launched a drone attack on April 10th. The strike damaged an administrative building, 9 apartment blocks, several vehicles. And this lady's explaining, and then it started bang, boom, bang, boom. And she's explaining what she had just lived through. I mean, again, they're targeting civilian populations here at night. Fire broke out at the oil refinery at the Kosmolsk on Amur in Russia. The cause of the fire remains unknown. Okay, so it's an oil refinery, so it makes it suspicious, but we don't know exactly what happened or why. Ukrainian drones also struck the Serdilov explosives plant in Nizhny Novgorod region. Ukrainian sources familiar with the matter say at least 3 UAVs reportedly hit the facility, damaging a pipeline, overpass, and workshops. So we don't have updated image of what the damage has been or may have been, but we know that there was a hit there. Okay, this is what I was talking about. In Pokrovsk direction, there was only 26 attacks. And usually when you have something really high, like this is moderately high, 14, 20. Like once you get into 16 something, then you're getting into the top 25 hits of the top 25 highest casualties of the war. We're not quite to that yet, but that's usually correlated with like a lot of attacks around Pokrovsk, and Pokrovsk is the bellwether. It's the highest. The second highest is going to be Liman. But let's talk about Pokrovsk. Here are some scenes from Ukraine's city of Pokrovsk, where Russians are eager to get control of the massive coal mining operations beneath the surface. I mean, the city is just, I mean, in shambles. Yeah, it's just bad. Now, Liman is the next place that I would keep my eye on. I keep hearing from reasonably trustworthy sources that Liman is going to be the next big like push area. 21 attacks in Liman, 26 in Pokrovsk. Okay, Frontline report. Ukraine's new commander appointment transforms the eastern battlefield only in March, just in the calendar month of March. Ukrainian forces destroyed 1,644 Russian artillery pieces, tripling the monthly average of the previous 2 years. So, like, they're doing something right. And again, but drones are responsible for most of this. In fact, I mean, you could almost confuse me for a drone channel if you didn't know any better, just how much emphasis I place on drones because it's significant. Kherson Oblast, a pair of Ukrainian guided bombs slammed through the roof of the Russian 81st Self-Propelled Artillery Regiment command bunker. The pair of Ukrainian bombs completely collapsed the Russian bunker, set the rebel ablaze, and sent the front door flying 250 feet. And again, that's not clouds, and I'm not going to show video. I'm just showing a still image. Okay. Reportedly, this is Ukrainian defenders breaking through Russian fortification systems in Belgorod. It's reported that Russians spent over 10 billion rubles, about 105,000 rubles on these systems, European, like billion on this, 105,000. So that's, I'm not even sure what the translation. They spent a lot. These systems after the Ukrainian offensive in Kursk region to make a breakthrough on their borders, impossible. But they're just cutting right through it. I'll actually show you this video. There's no like violence or anything like that. It's just two trucks driving like as if like, so they put this barrier over here over what was like a hole in the ground, and then they're just moving through, and the dragon's teeth are pushed aside, and yeah. So this is an image of it. They have like some kind of something over the hole, and then the dragon's teeth on the other side. So yeah, they're making progress. They're getting into that area. Now, Ukraine also bombs the border checkpoint in Bryansk. This is interesting. Bryansk. Where is Bryansk? Let's look at this. So here's Kursk, the big fighting in the Kursk Oblast and holding on to that. And then they invaded Belgorod down here. And then this is Bryansk up here. I mean, you can only stretch the border so much further before you're in Belarus. I mean, that's it. I mean, Bryansk is the only. So now they're not in Bryansk. I'm not making that argument, but they're attacking the checkpoint there, which will make the Russians have to defend a much larger border. So if the front line is down here somewhere, now they're stretching all the way, and that's a really important thing to understand. Okay, other news. U.S. and Panama have agreed that American warships will pass through the Panama Canal for free and with priority. Here's Pete Hegseth talking about it. He was in Panama yesterday.
That is why the United States and Panama have just signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperative security activities, and will be signing, just moments after this press conference, a joint declaration with the Minister of Canal Affairs on the security and operation of the Panama Canal, which is a framework for U.S. warship and auxiliary ships to sail first and free.
Okay. And I mean, but you could have achieved that by bilateral talks behind closed doors without having to annoy your friends and allies. So It's a win, but it's hardly a victory lap in that sense. Okay, Ukraine's ready to purchase air defense systems and other weapons from the U.S. worth up to $50 billion, according to Zelensky. And we submitted a large package to the American side that we want to buy in one form or another. It's our format, how we'll pay for it. And we did not ask for the future package for free. Okay, so I think this is the way forward. I think this is what's going to happen. Here it is in Interfax Ukraine. Give us this package. We'll pay for it. We believe that this particular package, which includes air defense and other relevant tools, is what we really need and will count on as a guarantee of security. Now, that's speaking the right language. This is protection that will help us after end the war. This is a guarantee of security that Ukraine is covered by air defense. That's really what Ukraine needs and lacks is air defense. There are many different formats and tools that we're ready for. We're ready to find both 30 and 50 billion for the appropriate package. Now, Europe does not have the industrial base spun up in order to provide these kinds of things, but they can pay for the kind of protection that Ukraine needs. And you think Donald Trump, after you're seeing things like Hegseth doing his victory lap, wouldn't be selling it and taking a victory lap about that? I think he would. Okay, here's Tucker Carlson. You just got to hear this because I've not even heard this kind of language from a American repeater of Russian talking points. Listen to this.
So one fact I don't think has penetrated the brains of policymakers in Washington is that we just lost a war with Russia.
Whoa, what? We just lost a war with Russia? He's saying this is a fact that hasn't penetrated the brains in Washington, that we just lost a war with Russia.
The U.S. was running that war, the U.S. military, the Pentagon, State Department, CIA, running the war against Russia. It was never about Ukraine. No one in Washington cares about Ukraine.
That's not true that no one in Washington cares about Ukraine.
Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian men destroyed. The fact it'll be populated by third worlders. I mean, Ukraine, we just eliminated Ukraine. Nobody cares. This was a war against Russia. They hate Russia for...
Okay, and so maybe there are people that hate Russia, and that is true of the U.S. population, that they do not see, not that they hate Russia necessarily, but they do not see Russia as a friend. They see it as a much more of a rival or enemy. So he's kind of onto something.
A lot of reasons, mostly spiritual. But we lost.
We lost. What is he talking about? I mean, like it's like trying to preclude the actual ceasefire by. Okay, at any rate, okay, let's look at something a little happier. Ukraine's clever fiber optic robots outwit Russian jammers, but they keep tripping over rocks. So these are works in progress. But I gotta give to Ukrainians, they are very clever about trying again. Ukrainian military engineers observed that as their new robots withstood jamming, but stalled when their glass tethers got caught on battlefield debris and vegetation. So if you have a fiber optic air drone, that's different because it's not likely to catch on things. Well, maybe some tree branches here or there, but it can keep on going. It's a little bit trickier for these kind of robots. Let's look at this. Ukrainian drone operator and his custom multicam Oshkosh M ATV from CRAF. Okay, so now these guys, you'd think that drone operators are just safe, hiding somewhere in the back, but they're actually huge targets for drone operators from the other side. And that's because they're so dangerous and so deadly. Artillery used to be the king of battle. I don't even know what you would call the drone operators, the Pope. I mean, the Pope had international scope. I don't even know what's above the king here in that sense. Here's a Russian Merlin drone worth about $300,000 destroyed by Ukrainian defenders. There it is, getting knocked out of the sky. You just saw that just now. Here we go. Let's do that again and look at it. Just boom. There it goes, right out of the sky. I wasn't aware, but an experimental Russian reconnaissance drone worth over $300,000. It could stay airborne for 10 hours and fly up to 600 kilometers. So that's a good hit. And then I saw this. Ukrainian defenders are striking targets in Moscow region tonight with UAVs. Panicking Russian military bloggers are speculating that the Ukrainians are using new RZ-500 unmanned helicopter drones, even though it's unlikely that they have the range for this operation. I'm not sure whether they're using this or not. I don't think that they are, but that's just my ignorance talking. I don't know one way or another. But these are going to be effective and useful to strike things and given the right places. Okay. Darth Putin, we're wrapping up here very shortly. On this day in 1938, the Austrian Anschluss vote took place. A dictator had sent his army over the border to make sure the illegal referendum got the right result. Imagine that happening today. And here's the actual image and you can read Adolf Hitler here. And the rest of this you can kind of piece together if you have any kind of background with German. Here's Deutschen Reich. So, okay, and when we Google translate it, it comes out as this: referendum and Greater German Reichstag ballot. Are you familiar with the execution of the 13th March 1938 reunification of Austria with the German Reich? Agree and vote for the list. Adolf Hitler, yes, and no is down here in a smaller box. It's translated as stone, which I found funny because this is ja and nine. Nine is no. So I guess it translated as Rhine or something to make stone. I'm not exactly sure. I don't speak German. If you speak German, put that in the comments. So yeah, that's it. All right. And this, I want to leave you with this because this was just touching to me. So you've given me a second life, a Ukrainian heart transplant. Thanks, the widow. So here's a gentleman who's just gotten a heart transplant. This is the widow of the man who died. He's a former Ukrainian soldier. He was not killed on the battlefield, but after the battlefield. And does the heart remind you of him? And she's crying because, yeah, it's still alive. I've held on to these memories of his heartbeat, she says. Heart transplant gave this guy a second chance at life. And so, again, this is just a touching thing, and it came from this former Ukrainian soldier. And all right, that's all, my friend. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and the coffees. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.
Надіється дуже хорошо.